a video on how I use my cards in mediumship. I did say I'd pop on and do this. Um, First of all, I would say you can do this with any deck that you have, but I would choose one that's quite busy and one that has people in it, quite a lot of people really. Um, I use the Everyday Enchantment by Poppy Palin. That's the one I use because there's the back, because they are so detailed. You get so much detail in these cards. So this is why I like this deck to use it, because you can get so much out of that. So that is the deck I use. Like I said, you can use any deck that you want as long as it's quite a busy deck, and I would say that it's got quite a lot of people in, a lot of people cards in. I also use the Stretch Tarot for spirit readings too, but not as often as I use these ones. I mainly use the Stretch Tarot for past life readings, and also ancestry if I want to, because it's quite like a Victorian style card, so I will use that more for that. But I have used them for spirit readings, but I do tend to use the Everyday Enchantment. I will do it as I do a reading, but I'll do it as a smaller version, so it's not so time consuming. I go by the abbreviations that you get when you do mediumship classes, which is the CERT, CERT. So the C would stand for confirmation of who you have coming through, the E would be the evidence of the person you've got through, the R being the reason they've come through, and the T sign to tie it all together. Normally for each abbreviation I will pull around 5 cards, can be more, depending on how I feel, but for this, to show you how I do this, I'll just do 3 cards to give you an idea of how it works. But you can use as many cards as you want, and you can do it in which way you want. You know, it's just, this is what works for me, and it's how I use them. So I don't, when I don't shuffle my deck and then just lay out the cards. I will shuffle them all individually. So when I'm at home, I'm in at the caravan at the minute, so I can't have candles lit or incense and that because of the fire risk. But at home I'd have a candle, and I'd have incense burning and what have you. And then I would contact my spirit guide, and I would ask him to draw close and bring forward anybody who wishes to speak to me at this time. And then I would shuffle the cards, and all the time shuffling the deck, I would ask whoever wishes to speak to me to come forward and give me one card to describe who they are to the person that the reading is for, whether it's a male, female, motherly figure, etc., etc. But I would just ask for one card at a time, and then if one pops out, oh, like that one, then I would take that and put that down. If it didn't, then I would just draw, stop whenever I felt like it, and pull that card. Now straight away, the card that flipped out to me is this card. Now, I don't take no notice as such. Sometimes it comes into it, but more often than not, it doesn't matter what card in the deck it is. It's the images that I'm looking at. It's the images that I want. Now, as soon as I've got this pulled out, I know I've got a father figure come through. Could be my father, could be somebody out there's father, but this is a father figure, because this card to me is the father. This family is behind here. But yes, so straight away, I mean, you can go more into detail as you pull more cards, but straight away I know I've got a father figure come through. So I then ask to give me another card to tell me about this person who's come through, and again you go through this, and one flew out there. Oh. So then you ask again for another card to come out. I mean, if you want to, you can always sort of like, this card comes out. So this to me tells me that this man who's come forward was very outgoing. He loved to be the centre of attention. He was probably quite fun-loving, happy, outgoing, but whatever, he loved the attention what he could get on him. He loved people to take notice of him. He loved to be centre stage if you want. So I know this man, that fits my dad quite well actually. But also you could see in this photo, this picture, that there's also a lot of music. So it could be that this person could be loved music, or he could have been playing in a band, or he played a musical instrument. Whatever stands out to you at the time. Now this one, to me, it's this figure here what stands out to me, and she's loving the sun, the limelight. She's loving the attention. So this is a father figure who loved the attention, who loved being the centre of attention, was quite outgoing. And so we ask again for another card to tell me more about this gentleman. Like I said, I normally do this with 5, but for this purpose I'm just going to pull 3 for each abbreviation. So we're just asking for one more at the minute, just to give me a bit more detail about this gentleman who's come through, this father figure who's quite outgoing. One more card to tell me a little bit more about him, and we just keep asking and concentrating on the question. Oh, and there's one flipped out then. Oh. And with this, there we go. So this is somebody, he probably has 3 children, like to go out and explore with them. Probably somebody who spent a lot of time as a child outdoors and what have you as well. But the overall feeling I'm getting is this is a gentleman, like a father figure that I'm getting. Quite outgoing, like to be, he didn't mind being centre stage, he didn't mind that, having that attention on him. He was very outgoing personality. The chances are there was 3 children. It could be 3 boys, but it's definitely 3 children. He liked to take them out exploring with them. They had a lot of fun, sort of woodland retreats, and probably a lot of vacations were spent on them. But he loved to get out in nature. He loved nature, this man did. So even though he had this, this side where he loved to be centre of attention, he also had this side where he wanted to be retreating to the quiet of the world as well. So this is what you sort of get for the sea. This is just kind of, you can go into more detail. You can pull more cards. I'm just doing this quickly because I don't want the video to be too long. So now we ask for the evidence. So the E stands for the evidence. So the card flipped. I then ask for a card to give me more evidence about this gentleman. Oh, and there's straight away one flew out. And there we go. So again, he's pointing out that he loved to be out in the fields, along with this one. He loved to spend a lot of time out in nature. He could even have been a farmer, because this is all sort of like farmland around him. But he was happiest when he was out and about. He was happiest when he could get out into the green countryside. And that's 2 cards now. So that was really important to him. Like I said, he could have been a farmer, and he could have just played a musical instrument. Do you know what I mean? But this is the evidence that he wants to give. He wants to either bring forward that importance of being out in. But as I put that down, the purse there stood out to me. So I think this is somebody who made his living off the land in some way, whether that's a farmer or some other way. But this gentleman is someone that made his living from the land. So we asked for another card for some evidence about this gentleman, and straight away we get another card pulled for love. There's 3 there, so I won't use those because there was 3. I only want 1. So if you get more than 1 and you've only asked for 1, put them back and just ask for 1 card. There we go. 1 card. 1 card. Oh, there we go. So we get this one. So you can see here, with this one, makes me think that his job on the land was that he probably food based to supply local restaurants and to supply, so this to me is kind of confirmation that his job was working on the land. He did grow food. He did, you know, it was that kind of life that he had. He did supplies local restaurants and whatever your factories or whatever you want to call it. But he also liked to go out and about. Goes hand in hand with this really. He had another side to him, whereas one side of him he loved the land, and like I said, I do believe he made his living on the land. The other side of him, he did like the good side of life as well. He did like to get out and about. He did like to dine, and he did like to enjoy times with friends and family. So I'll now ask for one last one, just to give me more evidence of this man who stepped forward. Oh, that's it. So one more card. Like I said, you can. Oh, there we go. One more card. So we have this one. So I think that he, you know, when I see this, to me, this is like he was always busy. This man was always busy. When you work on the land, you're busy anyway, but to find time for the enjoyment of being out and about with your family, and to be able to go out and about and to dine and what have you, time is always an issue. Stress, you know, I think stress played a big part in this man's life. I think he wanted to do everything and any, you know, everything for his family, but sometimes it put a toll on him, and that he found life a bit hectic, if you want. That there was never enough time in the day for him to do everything that he wanted, because, like I said, he if he worked the landers, which is what I'm getting this feeling that he did, that takes a lot of time anyway, and a lot of your life is spent working. So to find the time to be able to get out and about and do other things was very probably very hard for him, and at times he found this quite stressful, to try to balance his work life with his family life and doing other things that he loved to do. I think that he found it difficult at times and very stressful at times to find that happy balance. And we're now going to go to the reason why he come through. And the reason is usually because they have a message for you. So again, I'm asking for the reason that he comes through. Oh, I'll show you the card. Now the Empress come up with him. So he's coming through about the wife. So he's coming through for his wife. So either it's his wife who's going to be here and he just wants to come through and speak to his wife, or it could be that his wife is here on earth, is probably having health, oh excuse me, I dropped a card, health issues or health worries, or there's something going on in life that he wants to come through about. But you will know if it's, you know, if he's sitting opposite you, or you're doing the reading for, whether that's his wife who's, you know, that he's wanting the reading. If it is, then the message is for his wife. But if it's somebody else, then he wants to talk about getting a message to his wife for him. Oh, so we ask again, what is the message that he has? And oh, no. And his message is that he is remembering to fly at them. So with this card, he's talking about his family. He wants to be remembered to his family. He wants to talk about his family, and he wants to talk about his wife. He's obviously remembering the good times they all had together, but he's also being reminded that a lot of the time is hard work. He was always working while they was having fun, and sometimes he didn't always have the chance to be able to do that. And he wants them to know that he regrets not being able to spend time, or not wrong with him, spend the time with the family that he hoped that he would, but work was always the one thing that took him away. And that would tie in quite well with the three previous cards where we found that it could be very stressful, and that is trying to balance his work and his home life and his going out time, and that was very stressful at times. He couldn't always do it. But if he was working on the land, as I think this man probably was, then it is very a time consuming, this job. So I'm now asking if there's any more messages to tie up the message to this gentleman, from this gentleman, to kind of tie the reading together and see if there's anything else that he wishes to say, what will kind of bring an end to the reading. Like I said, you can do as many cards as you want. I mean, you can keep pulling cards if you keep getting you wanting to give messages, or like I said, for this intents and purposes, I just wanted to show you how I do this. Different people do it differently, and you will probably find a way, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of how you can use these cards. And there's nothing flying out, so I don't think there's anything else to tie it up, so it just leaves me to kind of, oh, there's one find that flew out then, one just to sort of yeah, and we got so yeah, so I've got the temperance card come up for that. So he again, it's about the balance, you know, not being able to spend the time that he wanted to spend with his family. And then we got the, just pull one last card if it jumps out, and then I can tie it up. Whoopsie daisy. Oh. But all these things what are coming out now is like, let me just tie it up first. So basically what he's saying is that a gentleman's come through. This man was quite outgoing, but he also very nature-based man. But he had a side to him where he's probably quite loud. He's quite a loud individual. He didn't mind being the centre of attention. When you was in his presence, you knew he was in his presence, because he just had this such a huge personality, this huge aura about this gentleman. Do you know what I mean? And he loved to have fun, and he loved life to the full, but he also very nature based, and I do get the feeling that he worked as a farmer, or he worked on the land, because that's how he made his money, because it's sort of showing to me that he made his money from the land. And I think, you know, he supplied a lot of the local restaurants with his produce, so I think he was a food produce man, or to the local areas and what have you. But he also loved to get out and about and have to dine and that, but he used to find it very stressful while he was here on earth, that he couldn't find the balance between his own life and his work life. And I think you know, he felt that his work life took over too much time. And he's come through with a message, you know, to his wife and his family, to say that he wishes he could have spent more time with them. You know, he wanted to spend more time with them, but work was just got in the way all the time. But that's something that he regretted, something that he wished he'd made more time to spend with them, because now he's gone. He feels it's too late, and he wasted a lot of his life by his work, allowing the work to be more one-sided than the other one. So that's kind of tying it up. And then with the other cards, it's sort of the ones what have come out is that he doesn't want them to make the same mistake, that he wants them to move forward as a family through the challenges together. He wants them to have fun. He doesn't want it to be all work and no play. He wants them to get out there, to enjoy life, and spend time with their mother. He wants them to spend time with their mother. I think their children are probably at this age where they want to get on with their own life, do their own thing, but the mother is still there. She's still, you know, he still wants them to spend time with mum, and not to forget that she needs them in her life, as well as them getting on with their own lives, not to kind of put her on the back. Twice is mentioned the mother, so the mother, it's important that they spend time with the mother. But you know, but to enjoy life and to work things through together, and to just move forward with their lives, but not allowing one part of their life to sort of take over. You know, he's quite adamant that he would like to have had more time with his family, and that then he did have to work. So that's a kind of rough, you know, when you've got somebody sitting opposite you and it's not a cold, you know, it's a lot easier, because you pick up from them as well. I'm kind of just done that as um, a cold reading sort of thing. There's no question involved, there's no person involved who I'm, you know, trying to get through. But I just wanted to give you an idea of how you can use cards to pick out details, and you allow your intuition and use, you know, psychic, whatever you want to call it, to help you sort of to pick out what it is that you need to pick out of these. So that's how I use them anyway. Like I said, it was a bit what's the word I'm looking for? Not very fluid, I'm not very fluent, but it's just because when it's so much easier when you know who you're trying to connect with. Just like in a tarot reading, if you know the question and whatever, you have a better idea what the cards are trying to tell you. It's a bit harder when you've got no one sitting opposite or you have somebody you're reading for. But that's just gives you a rough idea. You'll have to let me know what you think about that, and if you use cards in this way or whether you'll be giving this a go. I very often do it this way and I've found them to have some great results. So thanks for watching and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.